ESPN presents Sports Look, with the personalities and cover stories making news in the world of sports. Now here's your host, Roy Firestone.
Hi, everybody. The writer Steve Pate Steve Pate from The National, talking about the miracle in Arlington, Texas. Now, you might think the miracle in Arlington, Texas is this guy right here, the 43-year-old Nolan Ryan, who's given the North Texas baseball fans one no-hitter, many near no-hit misses, career win number 300, 6 sellout crowds this year. No, said Pate, the miracle in Arlington is not Nolan Ryan. It is a miracle that Bobby Valentine and Tom Grieve are still running the ball club. Now, that is not a knock on Bobby and Tom, the manager and general manager since the mid-'80s. It's just that the Ranger organization has been known to give the quick hook to any faltering leadership. The Rangers have had 11 managers in 13 years and better than 300 players on their rosters. The Rangers will not win the AL West this year, but the fans are pretty content. They're on their way to 2 million in attendance. They've got the best record in the American League since the first week in June, and they've got the best minor league prospects in the game on their way to the bigs. Today, we'll talk to the man who's running the show, this guy right here, Bobby Valentine of the Rangers. Why the Lone Star fans aren't so lonely, 13.5 games behind the A's, that and other things here on Valentine's Day. Howard Rosenberg follows a bit later. Sports Illustrated is hawking its product with the commercial featuring a shoe phone. Howard says it's time for SI to get smart. Would you believe? But first, here's Bobby Valentine. By the way, you know, we were at a banquet earlier this year, and you and I were sitting together, and it was killing me whose voice you had. You're talking to me all evening, saying, I got to find out whose voice you had.
It had to be one of the Cookie Monsters.
No, that's a good one. But you know what? It's Al Michaels.
It's Al Michaels.
I think, listen carefully throughout this interview. You tell me, you really do have Al Michaels. Did anyone ever tell you that before?
I've had people say that, and I can't believe it. I think it's a lot more like Grover or the Cookie Monster.
Okay. Now, talking about monsters, there have been people who've claimed that the Rangers, and Bobby Valentine, a bit of a monster recently with that brawl back on August 17th. First of all, before we show the tape of what happened, I want to give you a light criticism here, because, I mean, you're a friend of mine, but I think you guys poo-pooed it way too much. You underplayed it. You know, boys will be boys. Somebody made the comment, yeah, boys will be disabled boys. You lost one of your players, Steve Buechele, in the midst of the brawl. You kind of underplayed it so much. Don't you think it's a serious problem?
Well, I think that premeditated things in any sport is a serious problem. I think when someone takes a bat out and says, this is it, I'm tired of it, it's a problem. Someone sits in a dugout and says, hey, I'm going to hit that guy in the head as soon as he gets up. Definitely a problem. But I think when it's a spontaneous situation, and we had a spontaneous situation with Steve Buechele getting hit in the arm by a pitch by Hibbert, and here it is, and he just says, oh, and then the pain got in, he says, oh, let me go do something about this and put a stop to it so there's not another guy thrown. And here it is. I did say boys will be boys because, by gosh, I mean, you have to get out there now, calm it down somehow, and it wasn't calm.
Some suggest that it really was the Rangers who started. Nolan Ryan hitting Craig Grebeck with a pitch earlier. The guy hit a home run, and that's really what precipitated it all. So really it was the Rangers' fault.
Well, it could have been the Rangers' fault for starting it, and then it could have been the eye for the eye that perpetuated it. You know, the third baseman got hit by Nolan, so our third baseman gets up with 2 outs and nobody on, and he gets hit.
We incidentally have a picture of you in the midst of this, under all the bodies. Look at this.
Yeah, I'll bet.
You were getting, who was choking you?
Yeah, well, that's the coaches section there. I think that's Ronnie Clark and Walt and I all there in the coaches corner. Yeah.
Then there was another one, the day before. There have been 10 this year, Bobby. This is not just like a couple of incidents all year. 10. Pedro Guerrero suspended for slugging the Astros' Danny Darwin in the midst of an argument. There are people who feel that this is getting uglier and that the game is suffering because of it, that ultimately that the fans are getting turned off to this, and it's not fun. We're showing, obviously, video of this. It is interesting to talk about, but this is giving the whole game a black eye. Do you agree?
Well, if it was something brand new, I would say it was a black eye indeed. But, you know, I have Life magazines from the 50s when Eddie Matthews is talking about Drysdale throwing at his head and you know, the old Marichal bat routine with Roseboro. And there have been throughout the history of baseball, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or correct or proper, but there have been many incidences of this routine going on. I think what needs to be done, though, is, have the legislature, have people understand from the get-go about the consequences of premeditated acts.
Well, we're talking about a $1,000 suspension and one game in the case of Guerrero. $1,000 for the money that these guys are making. That's like pocket change. It's meal money almost. I mean, there were some people, Steve Wolf, for one, from Sports Illustrated, had a big piece about this issue today, this week anyway. He said there are a few reasons why. It's the thing to do, to charge the mound. The guys have shorter fuses than ever. The outside strike zone these days, particularly in the American League, causes the batters to lean in a little bit more. That in college baseball, because of the aluminum bats, they hardly ever throw inside. You jam somebody, the ball goes in for a base hit anyway, and so people never see inside pitching anymore. And just generally speaking, more players are sensitive because of their careers now and the big money. Of those reasons, what do you think is the most significant?
I think they're sensitive about their careers, and I think not necessarily the outside strike zone, but the outside hitting approach that many hitters have in the American League. The idea of diving into the plate, standing away, and going out for the outside pitch rather than the guys who used to stand on top of the plate and take that inside pitch and try to jerk it over the fence. We now have guys with that, what is now conventional Charlie Lau, Walt Reniak style of hitting that dives into the plate. And when you're moving in that direction and the ball's coming in the reverse direction, it gets a little head-on collision style.
Okay, we go back 3 more weeks. We're going to show one more piece of tape regarding a brawl. This was the Mets and Phillies, and this was the ugliest of all of them, I think. Why do pitchers, for example, feel that they have to throw at hitters following a home run? Why is that so important?
Well, again, it used to be a lot more of the thing to do than it is now. And, I think now this was a big brawl. There's no doubt that everyone was lucky that Dwight Gooden and Ant et al. Were not injured in this. And, that's a pretty good takedown by Joe West, I think, the umpire. There's a situation now where, because it happens less frequent, it becomes more violent, I think, in people's mind. Bob Gibson would knock down 4 guys a game, and I mean knock them down so that the ball was between their head and their helmet. It was commonplace. Don Drysdale became known. Sal the Barber in baseball history. Yeah. Chin Music, Now it's so seldom and rare in between pitches that are thrown inside that people think, hey, it's very personal. Pete Incaviglia, for instance, on my team, has been hit 8 times. And he feels like he's been thrown at a lot this year. Don Baylor was hit 250 times in his career.
I love his answer. They said, how many of those hurt? And he said, none of them. He was a real macho guy.
And he never went to the mound.
Before we go in this break, there is a concept. They use it in hockey. A third guy, 2 guys going at it on the field. I mean, that's not fine. They'll have to pay for it eventually. But if a third guy enters the field, he's automatically ejected, just like in hockey. What do you think of that idea?
Well, I think it's interesting if it becomes a personal thing between the hitter and the batter, which every at-bat should be, that personal confrontation, and then it gets even further personal. Okay, you're going to throw at me, well, I'm going to pinch your head off. Well, then you mean stand back and let them go at it? That's not so bad.
Yeah, but if that third guy gets, even if it's a Bobby Valentine, anybody gets on that field, he's out of there. That'll make him think twice, perhaps.
That'll make him think twice, and think twice about, the catcher not protecting the pitcher all the time. Yeah. We'll
come back with Bobby Valentine, the Texas Rangers. We'll talk about the best in the American League for postseason honors, Cy Young and MVP. We'll also talk about the Rangers. It's after this.
Clothes you hate to leave behind. Unforgettable.
No matter what sport America likes, there's one place America looks. Kmart, the one place with the best brands in sports. Stock up on Remington Sport Load shotgun shells. They're ideal for target and small game shooting, and they're only at Kmart, just $4.17 a box. Come to the one place that has it all in one place. Kmart, where to go when you go out for sports.
Hi, I'm Tommy Sanders of ESPN Outdoors. Each week we show you the beauty of our environment, but let's remember to preserve and protect the only earth we have. You can make a world of difference.
He was hired manager of the Texas Rangers at age 35, having never been a major league manager before. He's Bobby Valentine of the Rangers, our guest on Sports. You heard us at the top of the show talking about the fact that it's somewhat of a miracle. Not that you've done a bad job particularly, but it's a miracle that you guys are still around based on the Ranger organization in years past, you and Tom Grieve. Do you think that vote of confidence is something that will pay off dividends down the road? Do you think it's something that needed to be done for other guys over the years?
Yeah, I think that when you go from where we were in 84 and 85 on the bottom of the heap, not only in standings, but in credibility around the Major League Baseball circuit and in the eyes of our fans, you need to have a plan. You need to establish some kind of consistency and credibility. I think we've done that. We now are respected amongst other teams. Our fans respect our team. We haven't put together that magic yet to win a pennant, but I think that the caliber of baseball, the talent level is way up, and I'm proud of that.
Reportedly, and I know you'll level with me, reportedly you were in big trouble earlier this year, maybe late last year, and that the president of the Rangers went to bat for you. You fire Bobby, I'm walking out. Is that true? Did that happen?
Well, you know, I never was in at a meeting like that, but Mike Stone has been in my corner. I believe that. We've worked closely together, and there was a lot of heat, and a lot of heat, I think, caused a very poor month that has kept us from being a real good team this year. The press, the unsettling atmosphere in the clubhouse. Oh, is he gone? Isn't he gone? Another article coming out. And with a young team, I think that really hurt, was detrimental to this 1990 season.
I want to get your points of view. This could be the best race ever for Cy Young Award in the American League. Some people don't care about this stuff. I happen to think it's interesting because there have been some tremendous pitching performances this year. Let's start with Clemens. Of late, he is almost unhittable. The Sox took 3 of 4 from the Jays this past weekend. 31 strikeouts in that series. Here's Clemens. He's 19-5, 189 strikeouts, 208 innings, 4 shutouts, 5 complete games. He could end up with wins, strikeouts, and ERAs in the lead. There's any way to beat that guy for Cy Young?
Well, a couple of other guys have had outstanding years, especially Bobby Welsh with Oakland. When you look at Roger, though, he's done it without a bullpen. When you look at Roger, mid-season, he had a sore arm, and with his sore arm, he's thrown 170 pitches to complete a game and get a win for his team. He's been extraordinary, and if the extraordinary award goes, it would have to go to Roger.
I'll talk about Bobby now. 21 wins now, 21-5. Had his first loss the other day since July 28th. This is part of that game. This is a strikeout against the Orioles, actually. But Welch may be having his best year ever, and people say there's virtually no way you can deny him that.
I think that's true. We've seen a lot of the Oakland games on TV, and he's been near perfect. He's made all of his pitches with his fastball. His breaking ball's been excellent. He's minimized his pitches, and the only thing that anybody could ever say is that, and it's not Bobby Welsh's fault, that Eckersley has also been there to help out, and Honeycutt's been there to help out, and maybe Roger hasn't had that help, but he's having a definite Cy Young year.
With 43 saves, you could probably make a case for either Cy Young or MVP for Bobby Thigpen. This guy, except for he got lit up the other night against the Angels, that will happen. But this guy has been as awesome as it comes in the relief pitching department.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of numbers and a lot of saves, no doubt about that. And he's been the end of an excellent bullpen. Chicago is where they are because I feel because of their entire bullpen, and they've all contributed extremely well. And Bobby's gotten a lot of the numbers in their part.
Somebody told me, I don't know, I haven't really checked the statistics to be honest with you, that Eckersley with 39 saves has something like 3 walks all year. Now, I could be way off base there, but I heard that. And did you say he walked 2 in one in your game, right?
Well, I know he walked 1, and at the time he only had 1 walk. So he is incredible. His control and stuff are, the tops in baseball, and he goes out there with it every night that he's asked to do the job.
Another reclamation project, too, because he had a bum arm earlier in his career. Only a couple of years back, he was almost finished.
Yeah, he came out, got a new role, got a new life, and is now the top of his profession.
And finally, Dave Stewart, been denied the Cy Young for the last couple of years, 17-10 with a 2.73 ERA, 6 complete games. He's a long shot, but he might be a sentimental choice for Cy Young.
Yeah, for sure. And as Roger has been the workhorse for Boston, Dave's been the workhorse for Oakland. He's gotten a couple games where he's pitched into extra innings, 10 and 11 innings.
Let's not forget the no-hitter, too.
And the no-hitter, and a spectacular season, spectacular career since he's gotten with Oakland.
Bobby Valentine of the Texas Rangers, our guest on Sports. So we'll come back just a few moments, talk about the MVP race. Also interesting and compelling stuff right after this.
I never saw you hit so well. I'm here in 3, you're here in 1. Bill.
Yeah, how'd you do, Jack?
In 3, out in 3. What are you doing? You're playing your best golf, and every time I look up, you're staring at TV. Saturday cartoons make you so good?
It's a special Golf Digest instructional video. The Golf Digest schools pulled 10 instant golf lessons from their 10-cassette collection.
Graphics, instruction, real professional advice, 10 instant lessons?
A half hour of the best stuff for a golfer.
It's priceless.
It's free.
Free?
With my subscription to Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $19.77. Call 800-367-5800 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-367-5800 now.
Dickies takes you back through the ages to show you a few of the famous people who wore Dickies pants. Your dad, General Douglas MacArthur, Chief Sitting Bull, Napoleon Bonaparte, King Henry VIII, Sir Lancelot, King Tut. You too can wear these famous pants by Dickies, available every day at famous low prices. Dickies, famous since 1922. King Tut, made with Fortune polyester by Fiber Industries.
Wednesday night, Will the Thrill Clark leads the Giants as they try to battle back in the NL West race. The Expos continue to hang in after everyone counted them out. Wednesday night live on ESPN.
Baseball tonight.
Talking to Bobby Valentine about prospects in the Ranger organizations. Juan Gonzalez is a name you want to watch out for. AAA's doing what right now?
Well, he'll probably end up with 30 homers and 100 RBIs, and he's someone to look for. He's already like 20, 21 years old.
Yeah. This is why people are getting excited in Arlington, even though this year hasn't been exactly, a piece of art. Let's talk about those that have been artists, though, the hitters in the American League. Cecil Fielder, everyone's talked about him this year, but when you take a look at the fact that he's got 41 home runs, more than 100 RBIs, and a 295 RBI, 295 average, I should say. Third player to hit the ball over the roof, and we'll take a look at that home run in just a little bit. There really is no other word for it but awesome, the way he's played this year.
From the first series we saw him, he was on every pitch, and he has struck out quite a few times, but he has that 300 batting average. He's going to lead the league in home runs and RBIs almost certainly, and that's an MVP season. He's been an outstanding contributor to a team that needed some outstanding contribution from the outside, and he's done it.
They're going to have to get somebody to protect him next year, though, in the batting order, I think, or they'll pitch around him. Ricky Henderson, Ralph Wiley, who'll be on our show later on next week, the writer, says there's no way you can deny him MVP. Ricky's got a 321 batting average, leading the American League, 91 runs, 52 stolen bases, 22 home runs. We see one of those here. This guy has played the complete game.
And if you look at the scoreboard every night, you'll see a number on the side of Oakland in the first inning. 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs. They score more runs in the first inning, I think, than anybody in baseball. And it's because of Ricky Henderson. He leads off the game and sets the tone. the best offensive player in the game. I think Ricky is the best offensive player in the game.
Let's look at a couple of your boys, because we haven't talked too much about the Rangers. Palmeiro's having maybe the best year in terms of no press at all of any of these guys. Hitting .318, 148 hits. This is a double from last night's game. Very underrated player.
Yeah, Rafi, you know, we got him from the Cubs 2 years ago, and a lot of people said he has a chance of leading the league in hitting, and I think he has every chance to lead the league in hitting this year and many years to come. He's hit left-handed pitching, right-handed pitching. He's become an outstanding defensive player, and he's going to, you know, he already has 73 RBIs and 12 home runs, which surpasses last year's total by many. So he's coming. He's developing into one of the real fine players in the major leagues today.
It surprised me and a lot of people, the rumors that Ruben Sierra, even though he's had 80 RBIs and he's tearing it up right now, he's hitting about 340 in the last couple of weeks, might be tradable. Might even be on the block. What about it?
Well, I think a lot of that's been said mainly because not of the swing of the bat, but because of his defense. He's gotten criticized internally by some players as well as the press about balls that he hasn't caught and that many people think he should catch. Ruben's an outstanding athlete. He's a great offensive player, and he just definitely has to improve his defense.
Canseco, then, the best player in baseball overall. Any way you can dispute that?
No, you can't dispute it. He has the power factor. He can steal the base, and as far as the defense is concerned, he plays the most shallow right field. He catches everything that's in the air, and he throws everyone out that tries to advance. There's nothing that he doesn't do better than most.
By the way, you saw him nodding negatively just now. I think he was disappointed in a home run.
Yeah, he got a single.
Everybody is disappointed when he doesn't hit one every single time. A couple other questions. How important is Dave Henderson to the A's now that apparently he's going to be out probably for the season with a knee injury?
Well, Dave's been very clutch for him. There's no doubt about that, especially late in the season, and it's well documented. The thing about the A's is, you know, there's all-stars, MVP, batting leaders, Cy Young Award winners at just about every position, and when they lose a guy, it seems that they usually get a little stronger and feed off of that situation. But he'll definitely be missed.
And Ozzie Guillen of the White Sox will be joining us later on in the week. Is he the best shortstop that people don't know about in the American League? I mean, people talk about Ripken, but could he be the best in the American League?
Yeah, I think that he could be the best because now he's hitting to go along with his outstanding defense. He makes plays no one else makes other than Tony Fernandez, I think, in our league. And the one thing about Ozzie that's so wonderful is he loves to play the game all day long, enjoys it, has fun, talks it, socializes, if you will, during the game, but competes as well as anybody when the ball's hit to him or pitched to him. You got to love Ozzie Guillen.
Great sense of humor, by the way. He used to go out to the mound and say conversations. In the middle of a ball game, he'll look at Fisk and say, you know what, you're ugly. He'll just say those kinds of things to get people going. This guy isn't ugly. One of the better looking managers, by the way, also in Major League Baseball. But then again, when you're stacked up against Lasorda, everybody looks pretty good. I'm only kidding, Tommy. Bobby Valentine, great seeing you again. Best of luck. I know it's been a long year, but you guys are turning it around, as we said before, best record in the American League since June. Thanks
since
again.
June.
Yeah. We'll come back just a few moments. Howard Rosenberg joining us. We'll talk about the pitch for Sports Illustrated. The pitch is a little bit low, perhaps, in Howard's mind. It's after this.
Travel arranged through Continental with more flights to Australia and the South Pacific than any other U.S. airline. Continental, working to be your choice across the Pacific.
Are these the international rules?
For a word he knows. He's going for a two-syllable word. Ladies and gentlemen.
Europe. 426. It's a continent.
Let's stick with one-syllable words. He's fine. Hold your hand right there.
Okay. Mumbly peg. Mumbly peg with darts.
Levi's 100% cotton Dockers. If they're not Dockers, they're just pants.
You guys have any food?
Dun, 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 dun.
I think you should go back.
Do you think the wave needs words?
Malaysia Airlines. Enchantment wherever you fly.
Last week on this program, we talked about the Pete Axthelm controversy, the NFL saying there'll be no odds makers on any of their licensed broadcast, for lack of a better way of putting it. That's not 100% accurate. Actually, he'll be part of the game day broadcast this year. What are his responsibilities, Howard?
He's going to be doing features, commentaries, interviews, and he's also going to be on a new sports center that's going to be on the game day, too.
I'll give you 3-to-1 odds. He does a good job, too. Oh, just kidding, NFL.
Strike
Only
that
kidding.
line.
Yes.
Okay.
You have a gripe with the promo campaign on the part of Sports Illustrated.
I got to tell you, all last year I would sit at home and watch these Sports Illustrated commercials, and I would say, these are the absolute dumbest things I've ever seen. There will never be anything as dumb as these commercials. Wrong. I hadn't seen this year's Sports Illustrated commercials.
We have a short clip of it, as a matter of fact. We're gonna show you right now the new Sports Illustrated campaign for magazine sales.
We're here at an athletic shoe store to see people's reactions to this sneaker phone from Sports Illustrated. Now, the only thing is, we're not going to show it to them. We're going to let them discover it for themselves. Come on.
Go ahead, you pick it up. Is anybody there?
Hello?
The speaker's ringing. I've never saw anything like that. Did they all ring? This is a phone.
Tony, get a load of this. Come here, look at this.
I can't believe it.
You like that?
Yeah.
A sneaker phone, that's great.
These people must be pretty lonely. Anyway.
All I got to tell you, it's not great. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it's a 2-minute spot, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen a commercial that is so grating, that is so utterly stupid. And it's amazing because Sports Illustrated at least has a reputation for appealing to an intelligent reader.
What's in it for the sports fan to own a sports shoe phone? I don't understand that exactly.
You got me, I don't know. They have these people that look like yuppies, but they have the IQ maybe of a 10-year-old. It's just amazing.
We won't talk about it anymore. But we will talk about Sports Illustrated. Last week, a big controversial issue that's gotten a lot of headlines, a lot of play, particularly on this show, involving Lou Holtz and allegations that the team may have used steroids, football players on the team. Steve Huffman, one of the players making the allegation. The gripe I have, and I want to hear your response, is that there was no attempt within the article to identify to the reader that there was an attempt on the part of Sports Illustrated to talk to Lou Holtz or to get other sources. Now, in the midst of all of the controversy, Notre Dame complained, and Sports Illustrated said, yes, we've spoken to a number of other sources. We made attempts to talk to Notre Dame. But why didn't they address that in the article?
Well, ethically, I think it just really stinks. There's no other way to describe it. And if they did try to get some opinions from other people and make calls, it's not there. There's no evidence there. It's totally a first-person piece. It cries out. It just cries out for some kind of response from Lou Holtz, either Lou Holtz saying no comment or Lou Holtz giving his account. I mean, how hard is it? You pick up a speakerphone to make a call.
Right. Thanks, Howard. We'll come back to you about tomorrow's program. We'll return right after this.
Maybe the reason more people switch to Glidden than any other paint in the last 5 years is because we've got the color they're looking for. Glidden, a better way to paint. Maybe the reason more people switch to Glidden than any other paint in the last 5 years is because the end result always looks so beautiful. Glidden, a better way to paint.
You said we're a dying breed. That's what you said. No, I agree. In fact, he's got a few minutes left. That's right. Oh, man, I am full. I started calling my hair back when I was about 10 because I knew I'd be bald. You like roughage? No, thank you. It's a little rough for me.
Levi's 100% cotton Dockers. If they're not Dockers, they're just pants.
I used to babysit. I used to get $0.25 an hour. Just last week? Is that the only song you know?
Yeah. The Buffalo Bills. Machine Gun Kelly is ready for battle. The Chicago Bears. Last year they were wounded. This year they're angry. The Bills battle the Bears Thursday night at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN. Wednesday night, Will the Thrill Clark leads the Giants as they try to battle back in the NL West race. The Expos continue to hang in after everyone counted them out. Wednesday night, live on ESPN.
Baseball tonight.
We thank Bobby Valentine of the Texas Rangers for joining us on Sports Week. Tomorrow, former basketball coach from UCLA, Larry Farmer, who was the Kuwaiti national basketball coach. We'll talk about the controversy there and the crisis in Kuwait. Tomorrow on Sports Week. We'll see you then.